Great news. Next week, Mitch McConnell will introduce a second stimulus package deal with... Oh, wait, that was last week's script. Sorry, this coming week he's going to be introducing a lobster bill to make National Lobster Day. I'm not making this up. The Republicans are pushing lobster next week. The Democrats are pushing pot. What's next? President Trump is going to dispatch Jared Kushner to do a peace treaty with Tony the Tuna. Nancy Pelosi's really pissed. She called up Mitch McConnell and said, I'm no longer the starfish. You're always so shellfish. No one supports your bill. Doesn't have a whale of a chance. You're only getting Finland behind you. Children going hungry. Even Nemo's pissed. He's still looking for your stimulus checks. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is LALATE. Boy, I hope you're having a great afternoon. I'm not having lobster, but perhaps in the state of Kentucky, where Mitch is always accused of really not being forthcoming. He says that, going down to the Atlantic to get some lobster in Kentucky is one of his favorite pastimes. This is Afternoons LA that starts every day at 3:30 with the check, then goes to Hazard Pay, then FPUC, and then finally rent. Part of our 3.5-hour programming block every day here on LALATE. Big exciting news and shocking news following up in our major world-exclusive scandal earlier today on Mornings LALATE about stimulus. More about that in a second. Your head is going to roll. More shocking details about really what is unfolding. It is really quite discerning, but it's actually a movement to get your stimulus checks right now underway. If there was ever a day to like and subscribe to this channel, it might be today. Go to the Funds channel, hit the subscribe button, and drop your comments below. We'll be featuring some of them in today's recording. We're going OG, back to the old day with the shirt and the questions and the comments and all that. And also hit the like button on the Funds channel so you help this video appear higher in the rankings. You gave 15,000 likes to this morning's video. But let me get to the incredible details about what is going on with state and local. State and local was exposed by LALATE in a world exclusive earlier today on what has unfolded under a dedication of funds under the first stimulus package. This is a two-part prong of a scandal, so it takes two things to wonder and think about. The first part of the scandal is Nancy Pelosi's desire for $915 billion under the second stimulus package for state and local, and refusing to give stimulus checks to you unless that $915 billion is given to state and local. The other half of the scandal involves money from the first stimulus package that could have been used for your stimulus relief on a local level, but that money has not been given to you as either. So we have two different forces holding up your stimulus checks and stimulus relief. Let me get to the details right now. The first prong of the analysis we've known for a little while, that was that Nancy Pelosi does not want to give stimulus checks unless the White House gives her $915 billion, which they're not going to. That $915 billion is a bailout of 3 years of free grant money to the states. It's a crazy, crazy number, which third-party, nonpartisan analytic tools like Moody's Analytics and governors associations have done analysis and said, hey, states need about $150 billion. They don't need $915 billion. What you're doing, Pelosi, is trying to give them 3 years of grant money, ironically, when she's giving you one stimulus check for 1 month of $1,200 after Harris and Bernie Sanders wants to give you $2,000 every month for 6 months. There's that part of the analysis that she doesn't want to send out your stimulus checks unless she gives a bailout of states for 3 years of grant money. And her argument for it is the following. She says they're running out of money, they have no money. Okay. That part of the story is also untrue. Let me go to the second prong. States are not running out of money. In fact, the antithesis is happening. States have too much money for the first stimulus package. They have not used that money. They have not dedicated the money. And what makes this the second prong of the analysis is that money was supposed to come to you, and they've not given you that money. Have you seen any money from your state and local for stimulus? No. Have you seen it for stimulus checks? No. Have you seen it for rent? No. Have you seen it for food? Generally, no. Have you seen it for any type of stimulus relief since March? No. But they have the money. That's what's so crazy. The reporting analyzed over this morning on Mornings LALATE in a world exclusive showed that there was a fortune dedicated to state and local under the first stimulus package. Today, this afternoon, I actually have the entire report in front of me, the actual report from Treasury. It was called the Coronavirus Relief Fund. It was updated on September 2nd. Now, this is not the first time it was released. This is an updated version of it. The reason why it's updated is because a lot of states said, I don't understand it. Steve Mnuchin wrote it. Well, the latest version still has the same explanation, which is there's $150 billion dedicated for state and local. And that fund then goes over basically 9 pages that explains, okay, here's money for you to use it. Now, what happened with the fund was it was dedicated to states who then dispersed it to cities, and then it would be dispersed upon, how big the cities are or whatever. The bottom line, as we sit here this afternoon, is that the states have not used it. They've not used the funds. You have not gotten that relief. It is absolutely one of the worst scandals this country has ever seen in the last 3 years. That in the middle of the pandemic, $150 billion was dedicated to you, the citizens of the United States, the residents of the United States, to get relief when the pandemic hit in March. And what have states done? Not used it. Now, on Mornings LALATE, I detailed that states simply sometimes just did what they wanted to do. The relief fund actually states the manner and means in which they can use the money, and that says, it can be used for the purposes you would think they could use it for. Well, one city used it for 2 cameras for their councilman at $16,000. Another city used it for $30 million for its police force. Another city has upwards of $300 million unused of approximately $367 million allotment. It makes you wonder what's going on. And as one viewer nicely did, he sent me a link to another city, and I encourage you to continue to do the same to me as well. The city, or actually the state, was New Jersey. They spent only a fraction of the money that they were supposed to give to their residents. Now, I have a lot of viewers in New Jersey. I've had them for the very first day. I've had them, sitting around complaining about their state not giving them relief, Cory Booker. And how much have they used? Less than 10% of $2.4 billion has been used by the state. Can you imagine? 10% of $2.4 billion has been used by the state. As of Wednesday, this last week, the state had spent $229 million dedicated to them and has left the remainder of the $2.2 billion, hasn't used it on you. What's going on? What's going on is a real scandal where states have fortunes and they're not spending it on you. This was money created by Congress under the CARES Act 1 back in March when the pandemic hit. It was money supposed to go to you. It wasn't supposed to be, money sitting around and sitting in the bank and collecting interest as it's doing now. And as soon as they got the money, what did they do? Nothing. In fact, on Mornings LALATE, I detailed several cities and counties across the country. They're just having emergency meetings right now because guess what? The money has to be returned if you don't use it. And they thought, we haven't used it. We were just collecting interest on it. Maybe we should do something with it. Now, this has not been a new fight. The money should have been sent out on the street as soon as we got it, said Assemblyman Hal Winters of Sussex out of New Jersey. He calls it a tragedy. The extent to which the money is spent is overwhelmingly due to the guidance on the feds on how we can spend it. Here is an interesting twist you're only going to hear on this afternoon is that Republicans in some of these states are now saying, I don't understand this 9-page document, which I just held up, the coronavirus fund. I don't understand how to use the money, so I'm not going to use it. And I've reached out to Mnuchin to get explanation how to use the money, so I'm not using it. Then the other side, where some people are spending the money on security cameras, spending it, on crazy stuff, and that doesn't even qualify. What New Jersey has gotten back is a drop in the bucket compared to our needs, says Murphy. Moreover, you would be hard to specify a state that would be no different. Funds should not be used to fill in government shortfalls in revenue and expenditures that would otherwise not be qualified in the statute, says Treasury's shortfall. I think so that's what the Treasury guidance says. You can't just use it to balance your budget. So what Withers, interesting name, says in this article, and he's not the only one in articles published this afternoon and this week, he says that some of these state legislators, what they're trying to do, oh God, this is actually getting worse, is they're trying to divert the money for purposes that would not even get to you, but go into the coffers of the states for purposes of which it was not originally dedicated for. Boy, it is really quite horrible. You know, the ironic situation is that this money has to be spent by December 30th by federal law. Some states have made the deadline a little bit earlier. At that point, the money has to be refunded. But these allegations are that some of these people are hoping to sit around and get the money diverted to a fund in which it was never to be used. Although the United States Department of Treasury authorized states to provide much-needed relief for local government bodies that did not meet the threshold, the state of New Jersey has yet to release any monies for COVID-19 release funds, CRF monies. Again, they're urging the governor to release these critical fundings in time of need. I mean, it's just crazy. As far as money coming specifically, Murphy has so far announced fairly interesting offers, but it's basic at best. As we sit here on a Saturday afternoon, you know, your hope for stimulus checks remains very robust. Your hope remains with the President of the United States. But this actually can be interpreted as good news as well. And let me explain to you why. We're talking about $150 billion, and the vast majority hasn't been used. Guess where it goes if it's not used? Yeah, it goes back into the hands and, the domain of the person who wants to send out stimulus checks. The President Trump. The President Trump last week, not this Friday, but the Friday before, identified, $300 billion of unused funds that he could use for stimulus checks. Well, and then, later that day, I identified $200 billion more that the President could use. Well, this is $150 billion, and the vast majority has not been used as well. And that money's coming back, just like, Carter. Welcome back, Carter. So with more money coming back, that could mean more stimulus, more executive orders, more funding for the money. It's incredibly great news, but it's also reason and indication of why the Democratic leadership's attempt to give more money to states, having used the money, is insane. It literally is insane. And as more people understand that Pelosi is really running an untrue campaign, claiming the states are going hungry. They're not going hungry. They haven't used the money. That money is sitting there. In fact, they have not dedicated the money to children going hungry. They've kept the money in the bank, or they've given it to cops, or they give it to security cameras. And eligible expenditures would have covered things like public hospitals, clinics, similar facilities, testing, reasonable response, telemedicine, other health and human services. And yet she says, well, there's no money for testing in the Republican bill. Well, there's money for testing here. States don't want to haven't used the money. Go get the money. Money for sick leave, money for relief, but things that are not covered are Medicaid, insurance, and payroll. Ironically, what she talks about. So the confusion stems from a Democratic group that is really trying to tell you that state and local never got any money on this first stimulus package. They did. That they've used up the money. They did. They have not. That they need more money. They don't. That the Republicans don't want to give any more money. They do. They want to give $300 billion when only $150 billion is dedicated, and that your stimulus check should be held up for that. Why should stimulus checks be held up for something when they already have the money? If state and local already has money, why are your stimulus checks being held up for state and local? This is really one of the most shocking scandals I have ever seen. The money is in the hands of state and local, and she wants to claim they don't have money to not send out your stimulus checks. And in the same breath, state and local has money to give you stimulus, and they're not giving you stimulus. You're getting smacked left and right. You're getting smacked by your state and local government. You're being smacked by Nancy Pelosi. You're literally getting smacked left and right. You should have been getting money in two different regards. You should have been getting money from state and local, and you should have been getting money for the second stimulus package. You should have been getting multiple checks, and you're literally getting nothing. And guess who wants a lot of money? Politicians. Politicians. They want a lot of money, and they want the local governments to have a lot of money. It's truly shocking. It's truly shocking. But as you sit here today, I want you to remain positive. I want you to remain focused. I want you to remain motivated. I want you to stay informed. This is about being informed. This is about being informed because in times like this, you realize that someone's been trying to pull a thing over you, the wool over your eyes. Let me read you some of the comments from this morning's broadcast on yesterday's broadcast on afternoons LALATE. This broadcast at 3:30. Nicole Anthony, at this point, I don't believe anything these politicians are saying. Show action. Brenda Sorato, let's face it, they don't care about us. Susan Connor, has anyone seen the video of people losing their homes? It's so sad. Vicky Tomani, the sooner Trump does the executive order, the better. I agree. Betty and Mom Oleta, if he doesn't need the permission for the executive order, why does he have to wait? Just put out the executive order and get it done already. Amen. Bob Macau, if we had gotten paid every time they told us we'd get a check, we would have been freaking millionaires. Well said. Jason Smith, boy, I would love to tell Mitch what he could do with his lobster. I had not done a lobster video at that time. So that's good timing. Rickshaw, Philippines. Like dogs waiting to be fed, $1,200 is an absolute joke. It is a joke. In fact, Larry Kudlow actually said something correct this weekend, which was he was not going to refer to $1,200 as a stimulus check, but that it was just a assistance check because it's no longer stimulus. $1,200, 5 months later is no longer stimulus. Kitty girl, this is on President Trump now. He needs to act. Very well said. Mop D, they're psychotic, playing with people's lives, money and health for some political pissing contest. Now I understand why people are so cynical. Very well said. Esther Kanamar, why is it taking so long for a lot of need with all of us Americans? So many businesses are still closed. We do have a family to support. So many of us going homeless because they can't pay our rents or house payments or even the food for their families. Come on, stop wasting their time. This is so sad to see children going without food or roof. And everything she just said is in the coffers of state and local. They have that money. They have money for food. They have money for rent. They're supposed to be using this money, $150 billion, for those exact things that Esther Kanamar talked about. They're not doing it, and they're not getting the second round of money to them as well. Unfair Sanic, stimulus checks, unemployment benefits, essential workers, bonus pay, and food stamps. Focus on only 4 things, government. Very well said. Instead, the Republicans are focusing on a lobster, and the Democrats are focusing on your pot. Allison Marie, the president, needs to do something now. Very well said. On a day like this, I wish I could read all your comments on air. If there was nothing that I enjoyed more when this channel first started on April 25th with one viewer and a backdrop of the ocean behind me, was talking through the comments on air and getting a personal connection. And unfortunately, as the channel grows, and we're now approaching 250,000 subscribers, a YouTube record in 4 months, boy, it's hard to go through all the comments. But what I'm trying to bring back on the afternoons LA is some of your comments on each of the videos. So continue to drop your comments, and I may feature them in tomorrow's recording, especially if you have comments or questions that you want answered on camera that might apply to other people. So with that, go to the front of this channel and hit the subscribe button. We're trying to reach 250,000 subscribers. We're about 1,500 away. Let's see if we can get it today. It will be a big moment for this channel. I mean, no one in the history of YouTube has ever reached so many subscribers in 4 months. It's a true testament to the spirit of helping one another, which is what this channel has always been from day one, doing PPP and UI and PUA and EIDL and EIDL grants and all that incredible help on And day one for, for people who just had absolutely no one to turn to, no relief, no answers, I kept the positivity. I continue to keep the positivity. I try to find you the money. I try to get you the money you're entitled to as fast as possible and the means possible, and to guide you through this chaos that sometimes no one else gives you that guidance. And then hit the like button. It really helps the algorithm. This morning's video, really, you did a great job. We had, I think, 15,000 likes. We were ranking number 2 or number 3 throughout the most of the morning from Mornings LA, which I think is going to pass 100,000 subscribers, 100,000 views. I mean, we're doing about 1 million views every 48 hours, so let's keep it up. Coming up after this is Hazard Pay. Big developments on Hazard Pay. I'll be answering your questions on Hazard Pay as also. As always, stay informed, stay focused, stay smiling, and stay of LA for more.